I am in the mood for some origami today. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make this, it's called a Lazy Susan. It's just this little round container thing that you can use for candies and nuts, or set it on your desk and put paper clips and thumbtacks in it. You know, very versatile. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these. And I got the instructions out of an old origami book that I've had forever. It's called A Handbook of Origami by Rick Beech, B-E-E-C-H. And I've had this probably 10 years maybe. But it's just a good basic book. It has all your basic folds in it. It has clear instructions, lots of pictures. It has some advanced stuff, but most of it is just really simple designs that you can make. It's got your basic crane, it's got your basic lily, and I love origami, and I do it from time to time, but I only need so many cranes and lilies in my house. Or those kusudama flowers, I love those, but how many of those do I need really? So I tend to look for things that have a function, containers or envelopes or Lazy Susans. And not only would these be a good gift or, a good little candy dish to sit out, but you could use them on your holiday table too. Just make it smaller, and you could put one like between every 2 place settings and put mints or something in it after dinner. I don't know. But I just think they're cute. And I've made them out of different things. We're going to talk about paper before we actually do this. The big red one was a sheet of double-sided scrapbook paper. You do need double-sided paper for this. If you use single-sided, just know that the back side is going to show. So if it's white, that's okay. If the white also kind of goes with the design on the front, you know what I'm saying? So that was scrapbook paper. This was a piece of distressed wrapping paper, I will explain this, fused onto a paper napkin. And I'm going to show you how to do that too. This is 2 paper napkins, just the very top layer fused together. This is 2 paper napkins fused to freezer paper, so it's got a little bit more strength, a little heavier. And this is just another piece of scrapbook paper. The ideal paper to use for this project is origami paper. You can get it online, you can get it off Amazon or the Paper Place, or you can get it locally at bookstores and craft stores. It usually comes about this size, a little bit, not quite 6 inches square, and all kinds of different patterns and textures. Most of the time the backs are white. You can get, there's some really pretty packages of decorative origami paper that's made out of washi paper, or like this heavy mulberry paper that they use, and that folds really nicely, and sometimes it's colored. You got one color on one side, another color on the other side, so it works really well. But origami paper is made for origami, so it's the right weight, it folds nicely. I don't use it very often, and mainly because I just don't like, for one thing, the color limitations of these inexpensive packets. These are just, these don't really do much for me. And then the nicer paper that I like, I don't want to pay that much for it, because I'm cheap. So, next best thing. Can you use scrapbook paper? Well, yes, you can. I did. It's not ideal. And the reason is because, this isn't scrapbook paper, but this happens. Right here, we have this fold in the center. It tears really easy. Scrapbook paper tears so easily when you fold it. You can see in this one, where did it tear? Right here. I've got a tear. It's just so easy to tear. Not only does it tear, but it breaks. And you can kind of see right here, I've covered up the edges with a gold paint pen, because when you fold against the grain of some heavier scrapbook paper, it breaks and the white shows through. It doesn't tear, it just cracks is what it does. And the white that the paper is printed on shows through. That irritates me unless the white goes with the design. On this one it doesn't. If you look at scrapbook papers, if you're not sure if it's going to break, this one obviously it's got a white backing, so you know that it's printed on white paper. You can tear it and see it's printed on white paper. That means that the white can show through if it breaks. So be prepared for that, even on double-sided paper. This happens to be single-sided because I don't have a piece of double-sided scrap right here, but you get the idea. This one, blue on the back, it is printed on the front, but you can see when I tear it, it shows blue. And what that means is, you know, this piece of pink paper, this started out life white. It was white paper that was printed on. That's why it's got the white underneath. Even double-sided paper. I wish I had a piece, because here I'm talking about how double-sided paper does the same thing, and I don't even have a stinking piece to show you with. Hang on, let me find one, because that's just not right. I'll pick one out of here. Where's that one with the, yeah, that one. Okay, double-sided paper. Nice color on both sides. You might tend to think, oh, well, this one won't break. You know, if it does crack when I fold it, there won't be any white showing through because it's printed on both sides. Yes, it will. This started out as a piece of white paper. It's printed on both sides, but it started out white. So yes, if it cracks, the white's going to show through. So for that reason, scrapbook paper, heavy scrapbook paper is not ideal. Some lighter weight can be used, but it's usually single-sided. If you're okay with the white on the other side, then it's fine. So that's how you test to see if your paper is going to have that stinking white crap show through if it cracks. Now, paper that doesn't do that are usually your exotic papers. That one that was printed on blue on the other side is kind of an exotic wrapping paper that I bought. This one, you can see I tear it and there's no white. It's not a printed paper. This means the pulp was this color to begin with. So this one will be good. If it cracks, I'm not going to have any white showing through. It'll be good in that aspect, but this is heavy. This is really, it's not quite cardstock weight, but it is pretty heavy. It's a textured paper. I would not use this just because it is heavy. And when you're doing origami and you start getting into lots of little folds, this will drive you insane because it's just too heavy. You do want your paper to be perfectly square. The size doesn't really matter. This one was a full 12-inch sheet. This one was an 8-inch square. So you can see, you can make them any size you want as long as you start with a square. And it does need to be perfectly square, or as close as you can get it. I saw, okay, usually to square up a piece of paper, I just use my paper cutter. You know, if it's a weird piece, weird shaped piece, or, you know, it's wonky on one side, I just cut one edge straight and then use that edge to cut the rest of them, and they'll all be straight. They'll all be, you know, measure it out, make it square. It's perfect. I saw online this girl showing how you can do it without measuring. You just take the weird shaped piece of paper, you fold it, you know, you make a triangle, you fold it again, you fold it again, you make a notch, you cut it, and then when you open it up, you have a perfect square. Yeah, I failed. I don't know what I did wrong, but I'm just going to stick to my little trimmer because that was too advanced for me, obviously. Okay, completely lost my train of thought. Paper. Sometimes I end up with a paper that I want to use, but it's probably not the best thing to use, like napkins. I love paper napkins, and like this one is made from paper napkins. Anytime you go, now you can glue two pieces of napkin together. You know, you have to peel off the white backing, there's usually 2 layers, and you just got to mess with it until you can get both of those layers peeled off, because if you don't, you're going to regret it later. They'll start peeling, and then you will just be up a creek. I just licked my fingers to try to get this to let go, because there is one more layer of backing on here. Sometimes I have to tear the corner to get it to let up, but I'm trying to avoid that. There we go. And just peel it carefully, because you can tear it. And these little pieces that you're peeling off, these are good to hang on to. You can stamp images on them with, colored inks. Just use your rubber stamps. And then decoupage them onto your journal pages and projects. And this stuff acts kind of like tissue paper, and it just almost disappears. So it's a good thing to use if you save everything like I do. So there you have this extremely thin, delicate napkin, and maybe you want to fuse it to this one. You could glue it, yeah. Spray glue would probably work. You have to do it outside, and you have one shot to lay them down exactly right. And I usually don't even bother trying to do that. They're often a little wonky. I will just let them be wonky, go in later with my trimmer, and square it up. So you can use that. I think another good adhesive to use would be a Xyron. The reason I don't use a Xyron for this, and I don't use my Xyron very much at all, is because those cartridges are so dang expensive. So I kind of avoid the Xyron unless it will work the very best and there's no other alternative. Same thing with like heat and bond or fusible webbing like you get at the fabric store. That's awesome. That would work perfect for this. This stuff is expensive. I tend to save it only for projects where it's the only thing that will work and nothing else will work as well. So I like to try to find the most inexpensive solutions for things. And spray glue is the only problem that I have with spray glue. Well, not the only problem, but the main one that I have is that I have to go outside to use it. And I usually just lay whatever I'm doing in the grass, spray the glue, then I have a sticky spot in the grass, and I usually end up gluing grass to my whatever I'm spraying, and it's just a mess. Plus, if it's raining, I can't do that. So spray glue, even though it works, and I do use it quite a bit, I have to be in the mood to go outside, and then the weather has to be right. So, there's that. Now, what do you do if you don't want to use spray glue, you don't want to use your Xyron, you don't want to use heat and bond, you want something inexpensive, maybe stuff that you actually already have at home? Well, plastic wrap and freezer paper, which you probably already have. These work great. And I'm going to show you what I did with these. Some of these I could have done with glue just fine, but I chose to use my inexpensive, easy fusing version for an example. These are some of the painted papers that I've made. And they're made on magazine pages that I just randomly painted. And so on the back, I peeled a paper napkin, get down to that just one single layer, and then used plastic wrap to fuse it onto the back of my painted paper. And I like how the text underneath kind of shows through. That's just fun. So there's that one. I did this one the same way, fused with plastic wrap. And again, this one fused with plastic wrap, and it's stuck good. I mean, it's not peeling. This one is there for I don't know what reason. I think that one's too. Oh, that's the one I pulled out for an example to tear it and show you how it was white in between. And instead I scrambled for another sheet because I forgot. Oh, this one is another way to fuse is a piece of wrapping paper. It's just this regular wrapping paper and a piece of contact paper. And I used this I got this, I think, at Marshall's or TJ Maxx. You know, it was really cheap. And just stuck the contact paper onto the wrapping paper. So there you've got instant double-sided paper. And this one I think is going to be good because the contact paper is kind of plasticky. So maybe there won't be any tearing or breaking from the folds. So I think I'm going to try this one. Show that one on a demo. Now, how do you do the fusing thing? This is obvious. Contact paper, we all know how that works, right? First of all, let's do a freezer paper one, because I can kind of kill two birds with one stone with that one. Ooh, text message. Sorry. Shh, shh, shh. Let me just fix that. Okay. Now, I've got one piece of napkin. Now let's do this one. Let's do the peely thing. That. I'm going to lick my finger again. I know it's so frustrating to watch someone else struggle with something like this. Don't you just want to rip it out of my hand and do it for me? Like, oh my God, Shannon, let me have it. There. Okay, so now I have two extremely delicate pieces of napkin. And I recommend you do this on an ironing board, not on an old towel on your dining room table like me. But, you know, that's just how I roll. I do have a piece of oven glass under here, so I'm not going to catch anything on fire, hopefully. Okay, now I've got these. Next, I need a piece of freezer paper. I just want to make sure that it's a little bigger than my napkin. Sorry, I know that's loud and crinkly. I'm going to flatten my freezer paper out a little bit. When it comes off the roll, it's kind of curly, you know. So roll it back on itself. Just flatten it. There we go. First thing you do, pick a napkin, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to use this one. Stick it on we're on the shiny side of the freezer paper. It has kind of a papery matte side and then a slick shiny side. So this is on the shiny side. Get your iron. This is a sealing tool from Hobbyco that you can tell I've had it for about 143 years. Sucker gets hot. I mean hot. But your iron will work. Just turn it on the hottest setting. Travel iron probably wouldn't work. I don't know that it would get hot enough, but give it a try. You never know. Start in the center of your napkin and just start ironing out toward the edges. And all we're doing is melting the plastic coating that's on the freezer paper. We're melting it to the napkin, so it's going to kind of fuse together. And you can see with enough heat, it doesn't take long. See, it's starting to stick. But you do want to go around and heat it really good. And you do have to be careful not to scorch your napkin. You can scorch paper. And also, as your iron goes over the naked plastic over here, it's melting it and it can gunk up your iron. So you need to kind of clean it off a little bit every once in a while. Otherwise, that gunk will get all over your tissue paper. Okay, this doesn't have to be sealed absolutely perfectly at this point. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut off this excess because it's too big in my way. Now you take your other piece. This doesn't really have an upside downside thing, so we're good. This one does. Flip it over. That's a piece of paper I trimmed off earlier. Put it on the back. get you a piece of plastic wrap. Saran wrap, cling wrap. The name brand wraps don't work as well. Sometimes they don't work at all. You need cheap dollar store plastic wrap. Like Dollar Tree dollar store. Like the dollar plastic wrap. Really cheap plastic wrap. I keep some in my art room and some in the garage for when I'm painting. You know, you need to wrap your brush because you got to take a break. So I always have cheap plastic wrap on hand. You want to lay it out. Don't let it fold up on itself because that'll just take twice as much heat. Well, we'll move it off of the deal. There we go. There we go. It's over my hole. I can see, I don't know if you can tell, but I can see the napkin on the other side through the plastic wrap. So I can see where I'm lining up. This one, you want to line it up. Again, you'll be able to see through your plastic wrap. Get it as close to perfectly even as you can, but if it comes out not even, excuse me, don't worry about it. You can just trim it up with your paper trimmer. Now, just like you did on the other one, on the other side, start at the center and go outward. If you're using your regular iron, just turn it all the way up to the highest setting. Don't use any steam, just a dry iron. Now, if I go off of the edge here and get on the plastic wrap, can you see the plastic wrap starting to draw up when the heat comes near it? If I go over it, it's going to really gunk up my iron bad. So, I don't want to go over naked plastic wrap with my iron. So what I do, I take it up to the very edge and see it starts to shrink and pull in, and then just kind of pull because it's melting on that edge. Can you see what I'm doing? I don't know. You'll figure it out. You're smart. See, I'm just getting that heat from the iron right, excuse me, right up to the edge, and then just pulling on the plastic just slightly, and it's so melty under there that it just pulls right off. And I'm just going to go around and do that. You want your iron right up on the edge of your paper, but not over, because you don't want plastic wrap all over your iron. That's what makes this sealing iron so much easier to use than a regular iron, because it's little and you can see what you're doing. Okay, once you have all the plastic off of there, then you can go out to your edges. And see, my freezer paper is sticking on the other side, and that's okay. So this is kind of a poor man's version of heat and bond. You've got the paper in between that gives your tissue some weight, and it's fused on both sides, but it doesn't cost quite so much because, you know, you probably have plastic wrap, you probably have freezer paper, so it's not, you know, weird special stuff. Okay. And once that's done, I usually go in and just trim right up close to the edge. I'm not worried about perfect here, because then I will just use my trimmer to even it up. Ooh, I forgot to put in a new blade, and it was really dragging earlier, so I don't know if this will work. Let's see. Alright, I'll just pick an end and eyeball it. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, I've got one straight edge, so from that straight edge, I can cut the others. And you are going to need a square, so you do kind of got to measure. Let's do 9.5 maybe. No, 9. I'm going to make it 9 inches square. So I don't want to cut it off at 9 because I've got to cut this edge too. So I'm going to cut it off about 9.5-ish. There we go. Now, I've already got an edge here, so I can go ahead and cut this one at 9. But then if I do, my pattern's going to be off. Okay, so we won't make it 9. We'll do, or I can come back and make it 9 and trim off the other side. I know, I'm babbling and I'm not making much sense, but you'll see. Yeah, see, my blade needs to be changed. Okay, this one, yes, that'll work. And this one. Okay, we are 9 and 9, so we've got a square. There is your napkins fused together so that you can use them not just in origami, but you know, it becomes like, ooh, a sheet of scrapbook paper. So you can use this for whatever. And it's, you know, it's not super heavy, but that freezer paper does give it some weight, so it's much easier to fold than just the tissue paper that the napkin's made out of. So there you go. And you can use this plastic wrap technique just to do any 2 sheets of paper together. You know, this is what I used on those these papers. I just put the plastic wrap down, slap the napkin on top, heat from the center out. All there is to it. So, there's your plastic wrap tip of the day. Now let's make that Lazy Susan, what you say? Okay. I made one earlier. I hope it's dry. I did kind of a frou-frou one, which is really not something I do too much of. Okay, there we go. See, you can proof these up and make them pretty. I'm gonna unplug this iron and move it out of the way because I don't want to film myself being injured, and it will be inevitable. Okay. Now, so here's my little decorative Lazy Susan. I just glued little flower things on it, and then, you know, these pearly deals that I got at Joann's the other day, and then put a little glitter glue around it. So, you know, you can dress these up and make them, you know, all girly looking. I really wouldn't put a ton of embellishments on it, especially if you're going to use it for candies or mints. You know, people are going to be eating out of it. You don't want a ton of junk all over it. Plus, you don't want to hide all of these folds. I mean, this is part of the artistry, is the folding and the contrasting patterns. And I just think it would be a shame to cover all that up with a bunch of flowers and laces and, you know, that kind of thing. Save all that for stuff that is plain and you can cover up. You know, save it for a box or whatever. But I wouldn't, in my opinion, I just wouldn't over embellish this, because you'll lose the simplicity and the beauty of the folds. So, let's make one. Let's use our tissue deal. Double-sided paper, a square, is what you're going to need. You're going to need a bone folder, a spoon, something to sharpen your creases. You're going to start out by determining which side you want to be the right side and which side you want to be the wrong side. I used the same paper on this one, and I used the cards as the right side and the balloons as the wrong side. So I'm going to switch it. This time I'm going to use the balloons as the right side and the cards as the wrong side. So you want to start wrong side up. Orientation doesn't matter because your finished product is a circle. So just start any way you want, wrong side up. With the wrong side up, you're going to fold corner to corner both ways. And you want to give them a good crease. So, wrong side up, corner to corner. Open it and do the opposite corners. So, there's what you have. 2 diagonal folds with the wrong side up. Now you're going to flip it right side up. Okay? You're going to do, this time you're going to do horizontal folds. You're going to go edge to edge instead of corner to corner. So, right side up, edge to edge, open it, do the other edge to edge. And with this project, whatever you do to one side, you're going to do to the other. It's completely symmetrical. So keep that in mind if you think, oh my gosh, I'm getting lost. Just whatever you do to one, do to the other. So we started out wrong side up, we folded corner to corner, then we went right side up and we folded edge to edge. You with me? Next thing you do is called the Blintz Fold. You're going to take each corner and fold it into the center. And you really want it just kind of as close to exact as you can get. You don't want any overlap, but you don't want any gaps either. And it's kind of hard. I always get one or the other, usually because my paper is not completely square. If you cut it yourself, you can be off just a fraction. And if it's just a little bit, that's okay. Not going to be a big deal. But try to get it just as close to exactly in the center as you can. You can see I've got some, see that overlapped a little bit, and then I've got gaps there. And that's just because my paper is probably just a fraction off of square. And I'm not going to worry about it because, you know, it's a candy dish. Big deal. We're not folding a mechanical heart here. Okay. Oh, now you're going to take each corner from the Blintz fold and fold it to the outer edge. We haven't flipped our paper. We still have our good side up. Just take and fold these to the edge. You've got a center line here on your paper, so make sure you line up the tip with that line. You don't want to make sure that you don't fold it wonky. You don't want a wonky tip. No wonky tips. So keep it straight. Oops. And just right up to the edge. Okay. So you should have something that looks like that. In the center here is your good side, and you've got the wrong side underneath. So now what we're going to do is flip. Just flip it over, so now we have wrong side up. What you're going to do is take the edge, fold it to the center line. I know you really can't see these lines on my paper, but you'll see them on your own if you get a piece and do it along with the video. Then it'll make more sense. I'm refinishing my table, so I don't care about all these marks and burns and whatever. It's on the my list of furniture to refinish. I think I'm going to paint it like a off-white chalk paint deal. I think it would be so pretty. Oops. You're going to do this to all 4 sides. You unfold, see, okay. We did this one, we unfolded. We need the next one, we unfolded. Now let's move to this one, fold it to the center line, and then crease. Unfold it and do the last one. And crease. So, there you have it. You've folded all of your sides into the center, so you've got something like this. Now if you look, it's kind of already wanting to do what it's supposed to. See these little corners? They're kind of wanting to scooch in. These over here, they just automatically kind of want to scooch in. Go ahead and let them. Scooch them in. Okay, sorry about that. I had technical difficulties. Where were we? We were pulling our little tips in toward the center, right? Yeah, that's what we were doing. They kind of want to just fold in automatically, so go ahead and let them. Just pull them in and then crease them a little bit. All four corners. So see, it's kind of wanting to do this little thing. Got it? Once you kind of crease those corners in, flip it over, and you should have something that looks like that. See where we are? Now what you're going to do is, if there's any tricky part of this whole thing, this is it, and it's really not even that tricky. This is also where you can easily poke a hole right here. That is why I put a little dot. I usually just punch out a little circle of sticker paper, and on the underneath side I just stick it right in the center where all of those creases meet. Just stick it down good, and that will help to keep it from breaking on this side, because that is like the big stress point of the whole project, and it tears there quite easily. So we've got this little square going on. You're still with me, right? Got this little square going on. Now what you're going to do is press in gently in the center and press in on two sides. It doesn't matter which two sides, it's a square. They're the same. Just pick two sides, press in and press down. And you want to kind of keep the box shape. It's kind of a handful. Press in and down. Okay, you see what's kind of starting to happen? See, it's kind of starting to fold in on itself. That's what you want it to do. Just like that. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, we pulled our corners in, we flipped it over, kind of push everything down so we have a square shape. Pick two sides, doesn't matter which two, push in on the sides and down in the middle until it folds. You just kind of have to help it a little bit, and that's okay. Fold it in. There you have it. Now, basically, we're done. All you do from this point is, okay, here's where we are. You see each side has a little flap. That's the little pocket. So all you do is pull out the pocket, push up on the bottom, and pull the two out. Gently, because this is where it's easy to rip. You see on the bottom, push up on the bottom and pull out. And just do that on all four sides. This one. And the last one. Up on the bottom. and pull out. And I usually kind of lay it down and shape the bottom so that I make sure that I've got everything pulled completely out. Turn it over. And there is your finished origami Lazy Susan, ready for you to fill with treats or little office supplies or beads or whatever you want. So there you have it. Show you the rest of these. And this one. I've had this out for a couple of days, and every day I have fewer and fewer M&Ms, just so you know. So there you go. Easy holiday origami project.